How did I start music? How did I get into music? That's it's a funny story. When I was in primary school, we had this end of year play every year, but it was only for primary six students. So we spent the whole time waiting to get to primary six, to get to your turn. And so my turn came, and we were to do The Sound of Music. And somehow, my drama teacher would say to us, she would come to the front and she auditioned for people to sing. And she stood at the back of the hall and she said, "Sing to me there." And I did. And that was it. She said to me, "You know, you can sing, just project." And that was how I started singing. But that's not the interesting part. The thing is, not everybody could sing. Not so many people carried the tune. So she said to me, "You're going to sing for everybody." So most of them mimed. And what was funny was there were boys who mimed. And I had a girl's voice. And you're probably sitting in the audience thinking, why does he sound like a girl? And, you know, they weren't exactly lip syncing, so it was sort of off. But she wanted to hear my voice because it was strong enough to get to the back. I don't think it was melodious particularly, but it was strong. But that was the beginning of me singing on a raised surface to people. I hated it. No, actually, I liked that one because I was at the back of the stage almost throughout. But that was my first introduction to my voice being used for something, but not being in front of stage. But when I got to QC, I began to sing on stage, and that's how it started. It grew, it became, every church I went to, I kind of found my way into the choir. But I've always been a backbencher, kind of. I don't like to be in front of people. It took a while to be able to block people out and just focus on what I was singing. I get like a deer in headlights in front of people. But that's another thing that I found that I've learned through Jesus. One day, I was in my room, and this is very recent, this is probably 3 years ago. I was singing a song, and it just occurred to me, and it must have been the Holy Spirit. He said, "Is there any drum here? Is there any microphone here?" And I said, "No." He said, "Have you been singing to me for an hour?" And I said, "Yes." He said, "That's exactly what you should do. Wherever you go, imagine that you're in this room, and there's nobody here looking. You don't need the piano to be on key. You don't need the mics to work well. You just need me, and you need yourself." And it's helped me. So I try to zone everyone out and find him in the crowd and focus on him. It's a difficult thing sometimes, but that's how it's been, and it has helped me. Sometimes I forget. Sometimes I get distracted. One day I fell off a stage, having gotten distracted. But, you know, it's been a journey, and I've grown into it. I've grown into my voice, which I have to say was a little peculiar at first. I didn't understand my voice, but eventually I did, and so that's my journey with music. It's an ongoing journey, a bit of a love-hate relationship. I don't like to be on stage, but I find that if it's for Jesus, then I can do it. And so that's where we are. Okay, so why did I release an album? It's a good question. I didn't want to. I've had those songs, but those songs are about 15 to 20 years old. 17 years old. And not that I'd wanted, people would say, you know, you should do something about these songs. I just never did. One day, Nathaniel and I were in the same choir, and he said to me, you know, it's time, you should try and do something. Just let's start it right now. And he was the first person who kind of took my hand, sat me down, put me through, said to me, you have to get a name for this project. You've got to name it from the start. And you've got to go, whether you have the money or not, go and commit to doing it. And that was it. It was kind of a push. As with me, most things to do with me, I always need a push. And that was my push. And that's how come I have an album today. That album took about 1.5 years to produce. It took another 3.5 years for me to actually release it. That was that protective or shy, I don't know what the word is. I just didn't want it to go out and left it there for about 4.5 to 5 years. But it's out now. So I don't know that I'll do another album, but I'm glad that I let it go and it's done now. For Jesus it's been released digitally, so it's online, available to download as often as you want to and share. It's available on SoundCloud, Reverb Nation, Deezer, CD Baby, and my website, forjesusalbum.com. So if you want to go there, please feel free. And if you want to share it with a friend of yours, share it with someone who doesn't know Jesus, please feel free to do that. But more importantly, do something for Jesus.